Sustainability used to be the thing the supply chain talked about last. Now it is becoming the thing it is measured on. Regulators are demanding emissions reporting. Big customers are putting carbon targets in their contracts. Investors are asking hard questions. And here is the catch that traps almost everyone. The vast majority of your environmental footprint is not in your own factories. It is hidden out in your supply chain, in your suppliers and their suppliers. It is enormous, and most companies genuinely cannot measure it. I am Maya, and today we look at how AI cracks this open. This is AI for the sustainable supply chain. Let us start with the term you cannot escape, Scope 3. Emissions come in 3 scopes. Scope 1 is what you burn directly, your own vehicles and facilities. Scope 2 is the energy you buy, your electricity. And Scope 3 is everything else, all the emissions in your value chain, from the raw materials and components you purchase, the transport, all the way to how customers use and dispose of your product. And here is the staggering part. For most companies, Scope 3 is the overwhelming majority of the total footprint, often 80–90% or more. Which means the real action is almost entirely in the supply chain. And it is also the hardest to measure because it depends on data from thousands of suppliers you do not directly control. That measurement gap is the central problem. You cannot manage, report, or reduce what you cannot measure. And measuring Scope 3 the old way means chasing thousands of suppliers for data they often do not have and stitching together spreadsheets that are out of date before you finish. It is slow, patchy, and mostly guesswork. This is exactly where AI changes the game. The first move is estimating emissions intelligently. You will never get perfect primary data from every supplier, so AI does something clever. It estimates emissions from the data you do have, your spend, your purchase volumes, the materials involved, using emission factors and models to build a complete first picture of your footprint fast. Then it gets smarter over time as real supplier data comes in. Instead of waiting years for perfect data, you get a usable, improving estimate now. You go from total blindness to a working map. The second move is finding the hotspots. Once you can see your footprint across the whole chain, AI pinpoints where the emissions actually concentrate, and it is almost never where people assume. It might be one raw material, one supplier, one transport lane that accounts for a huge slice of the total. This matters enormously because it tells you where to focus. You don't have to fix everything at once. You find the 20% of your chain driving 80% of the emissions, and you start there. AI turns an overwhelming problem into a prioritized list. The third move is supplier-level intelligence. AI helps you assess and compare the sustainability of your suppliers, scoring them, flagging the laggards, and identifying greener alternatives. When 2 suppliers offer a similar product at a similar price, AI can surface the one with the dramatically lower carbon footprint, turning sustainability into a real, data-driven factor in your sourcing decisions instead of a box-ticking afterthought. The fourth move is optimizing for more than cost. This is the deeper shift. Traditionally, supply chain decisions optimize for cost and service. AI lets you add carbon as a third dimension. It can design a network or plan transport that balances cost, speed, and emissions together. Sometimes the greener option is also cheaper, a shorter route, less waste, and AI finds those win-wins. Other times it shows you the real trade-off, this much extra cost for this much less carbon, so you can make an informed choice instead of a blind one. Carbon stops being an afterthought and becomes part of the optimization itself. And think about how powerful that is at the moment of decision. Today, when your team picks a route, a supplier, or a mode of transport, they mostly see cost and speed. Imagine that same screen also showing the carbon automatically for every option, so the greener choice is right there in front of them, with its real cost attached. You are not asking people to care about emissions in the abstract. You are putting the number where the decision is made. That is how sustainability stops being a separate department and becomes simply how the supply chain runs. Thousands of small, better choices every single day. And there's a fifth area worth naming: traceability and the circular economy. AI helps trace materials back through complex chains to verify claims, spot risks like deforestation or forced labor deep in the chain, and to support reuse, recycling, and circular models by tracking where materials are and what condition they are in. The same visibility that powers a control tower also powers sustainability. Let me make it concrete. A company is under pressure to cut its carbon and report Scope 3. The old way, a small team spends a year emailing suppliers, building a partial, painful spreadsheet, and ends up with a number they do not really trust and cannot act on.
The AI way, they get a complete estimated footprint in weeks from their existing spend and purchasing data, immediately see that 2 categories drive most of their emissions, focus their supplier engagement exactly there, switch a key lane to a lower carbon option that also happens to cut cost, and produce auditable reporting almost automatically. Same goal, but one path is a year of frustration, and the other is real, measurable progress in a quarter. But let me be honest about the limits, and this one matters more than usual, because the stakes include your credibility. First, estimates are estimates. Modeled emissions are a powerful starting point, but they are not the same as measured, verified data. You must be clear about what is estimated and what is real, and improve the real data over time. Second, and this is critical, beware greenwashing. AI can produce confident, official-looking numbers, and if those numbers are built on weak data or convenient assumptions, you are not just wrong, you are exposed, legally and reputationally. The goal is genuine, defensible accuracy, not a pretty report. And third, the data challenge is real. The deeper, supplier-specific data you need is often missing, and getting it requires real engagement with your suppliers, which AI supports but cannot replace. And as always, the human is in charge, and here especially. AI gives you the measurement, the hotspots, and the options, but setting the targets, making the trade-offs between cost and carbon, engaging suppliers, and standing behind the numbers, that is leadership and ethics, not algorithms. AI makes sustainability measurable and actionable. People make it real and make it honest. So how do you start? A few moves. 1. Get a baseline estimate first. Use AI to turn your existing spend and purchasing data into a complete first footprint. Do not wait for perfect supplier data. 2. Find and focus on your hotspots, the few categories or suppliers driving most of your emissions. 3. Build sustainability into decisions you already make, especially sourcing, so it is a factor, not a separate project. And 4. Be rigorous and honest about your data. Distinguish estimated from verified and improve it over time. Credibility is everything here. Because here's the bigger picture. Sustainability is shifting from a reporting burden to a source of advantage. The companies that can actually measure, manage, and reduce their supply chain emissions will win the contracts that now require it, satisfy the regulators, attract the investment, and build the resilient, efficient operations that often come hand in hand with lower carbon. AI is what makes that possible at the scale and complexity of a real supply chain. It turns a vague, overwhelming obligation into a concrete, manageable plan. So let's lock it in. Most of your footprint is Scope 3, hidden in your supply chain, and the core problem is that you cannot measure it the old way. AI cracks it open by estimating emissions from the data you have, finding the hotspots, scoring suppliers, optimizing for carbon alongside cost, and enabling traceability. Mind the limits, estimates are not verified data, and greenwashing is a real risk, so be honest. Keep the human on the targets and the integrity, and start with a baseline and your hotspots. This is one of the most important frontiers in the whole field. If you want to build a measurable, credible sustainability capability, our full course at Supply Chain AI Pro walks you through it, and the free resources are linked below. I am Maya. Stop guessing at your footprint. Start measuring it. I'll see you in the next one.